And here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Real Muscle with Ron. I'm Ron Harris. Today we have a very special guest. She's the 2023 NPC Nationals overall bodybuilding champion. She's now an IFBB professional bodybuilder. Before we get started, please subscribe, like, share, do all that good stuff. And please welcome to the stage of this podcast, Anastasia Rider. How are you, Anastasia?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Good. I want to let people know that they're seeing a little bit of physique now, but I'm going to go to your Instagram so people can get a real appreciation of exactly what you've accomplished with your physique over the years. I always start with the stories.
Okay.
Stories sometimes just about like drink a coffee or something, but
clients.
Yeah, this is I'm gonna go back to the pictures.
Yeah, pictures. Yeah.
Okay, so here was your national win right there, your overall win. Wow. Yeah, so I'm curious, what was your height and weight there?
5'10". Well, that's always been the same. And then weight was 176.
Okay, 176. So a middleweight, basically, if you're.
Yeah.
And then actually, you were. There's only 3 weight divisions for female bodybuilders and the amateurs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would be a heavyweight, which is over. What's over heavy?
So I think lightweight is 125 and under. Middleweight is 126 to 140, and then 140. I've always been a heavyweight, so I think it's 140.
Yeah, 5'10". Well, I would imagine at 5'10". My goodness. So here's the great picture. We use that as the thumbnail. This was taken by a friend of yours.
Yeah, that was back in, I want to say, early October.
Okay, yeah, great shot. Here's a video. This is you and your, I don't know what the words are. You take boyfriend, partner, significant other. I don't know. Is he a strong man?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, he's from Russia.
He is from Siberia.
Siberia. That's where Dennis Wolf started out.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought you were Russian. Are you?
A lot of people think that. I'm Croatian, actually.
Oh, okay. I have a shirt from Croatia. My daughter went to Split. There's actually a place called Split in Croatia.
Well, I've never been. I want to go.
Yeah, they had Ultra Europe is a big dance festival.
Oh, I have heard of that. I didn't know it was there.
Yeah, I think they change. They go to a different city and country every year, but she went when it was in Croatia. Beautiful pic. They went and saw castles and all this cool stuff.
Oh man.
There's some posing. There we go. So that was some progress pictures.
Yeah, that was from I think that was a day or 2 out.
Yeah, I have to commend you. I can see right here you said I used to struggle with condition.
Yeah.
And I saw you compete at that Tampa Pro Qualifier several times. I'm like, if Anastasia was lean, my God, she'd be destroying these girls.
Yeah, how do you think I felt?
I mean, wow. And but you obviously figured out the secret there, and you're a coach now, so you can help others do that.
Yes.
Here's another progress picture. Yeah, that was all you needed. You had size, shape, structure, all that good stuff. You just need to be leaner, and you finally got lean, and boom, pro card in your hand.
And it was crazy because this whole prep, my weight didn't really go down that much. I think we started at like 193, and before we cut water, we were at 180. So like the whole time I was like, am I getting lean? Like, am I actually like conditioned?
Yeah, because I mean, you were heavier. I saw you in off season a few times. You never got that I call out of shape.
I didn't. That's why it kind of messed with me this time, because I'm used to having to lose a lot of weight, and I really didn't have to.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, was that a before picture?
Yeah, it was way before.
Oh my goodness. Were you like 10 there, 12 years old? What?
I was 21 actually.
Okay. Well, you're still very young now. What are you, 28, 29?
32, 33.
32? Yeah, that's it. In bodybuilding, that is an infant. So
yeah.
Okay, there's the ring light picture. More pictures. Okay. I think people get the idea. You're a phenomenal athlete, and we'll get to your career stuff later, but I'm just curious, when are you going to do your first pro show?
Tampa, actually.
Well, there you go. Right in your backyard, right?
You're the first to hear it, so Tampa Pro it is.
Awesome. That's August 3rd. Is that what it is?
Yeah, first weekend.
Nice. Okay. All right. So let's go back to this. And okay, I'm going to stop that screen. And now you are brave enough, forthright enough. You have the guts to actually talk about gear use. So my first question is, why do you think most women who use either lie about it and just deny it, or they're really afraid to talk about it?
There's still such a stigma about it, almost every woman in the NPC and IFBB is using something. There are a few that aren't,
Yeah.
But for the most part, everybody's using something, and we all know that. And I don't. For men, it's like cool to talk about, and it's like, you know, it's a joke and it's funny, but for women, it's just so taboo. And like the few women that do talk about it, you know, of course they get the negative comments, but we all know we're doing it. And how are we going to promote safe use? Because people are going to use it. How are we going to do it safely if nobody's talking about it? Like you can't, as a woman, you can't get on the internet and Google, like, what happens if I take Primobalin and Masteron together? Like, mystery, here we're going to find out. Experiment on yourself. Like that's all we have right now.
Yeah, and I you know, there are coaches out there who are very knowledgeable, but I think there's a lot of coaches out there, they're not knowledgeable. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They throw drugs at women, even like we're talking about all divisions, all the way down to the bikini, where you don't need to be that big and lean. But I think it's like a crutch when a coach isn't that knowledgeable about how to achieve a result using, you know, training, nutrition, supplements. Immediate go-to is, I'll just get her on double your cleanse, get on some T3. I want you on double your Anavar, do this and that.
Well, and I've noticed with NPC athletes too, because, you know, I had a bikini girl come to me who was a pretty well-known coach, who I know is a good coach. Like he knows what he's doing with what I've seen, but with her, like she showed me the protocol he had her on. He had her on a bunch of estrogen blockers, Anavar, Winstrol, Novadex, Arimidex, and this is a bikini competitor.
Wow.
And here to find out, she had a hormone imbalance that was, she ended up having endometriosis, but nobody knew. And instead of trying to figure out what was going on, he was like, here you go, steroids, steroids, steroids. And that's, I mean, you see a lot of that too. If they just want to fill in the gaps with a client they don't think, you know, has potential or is going to turn pro or is going to do well for them, they just throw whatever they want at them.
Yeah. The side note, I have a niece with endometriosis. It is no joke.
No, it's not.
Would not wish that on anybody. So how did you get into bodybuilding, Anastasia? And were you aware of gear at the time? And did you train naturally for a while?
Yeah. So I started bodybuilding when I went to a bodybuilding gym in Georgia when I lived there. And, you know, I had known about the guys using it, and the wife there was a women's physique competitor, but nobody really talked about it. You know, nobody was putting information out there, but I knew that people were using it. And then when I moved to Florida, I got with my first coach, and thank God he was pretty well versed in this. He was not a prep coach. We just did an off season together, but I had a shoulder injury at the time, and he recommended human growth hormone to me to fix the shoulder injury. And then while he's recommending, he goes, and you know, it would also be helpful with XYZ bodybuilding. So I, of course, went in with that, and I ran that. That was the first steroid I ever ran. I think I did it for maybe like 3 or 4 months. And I mean, that for me, that was a pretty safe, good introduction, but most people don't have it that way.
I think I missed it. Which was your first steroid that you used? And
human growth hormone.
Oh, well, that's not a steroid.
Yeah.
It's not even a steroid.
Technically.
No, it's not at all. So you really weren't using steroids yet. So yeah, no. How many I use a day?
I was only doing one because we were doing a therapy dose.
Yeah, and that's like what they give old people, or, you know, people like my age. I can get prescribed a gram, not a gram, an IU or 2 of growth a day. So really, when did you? So that wasn't a steroid. When did you actually become introduced to actual gear?
Well, after that, I used probably fake Anavar. In retrospect, it just didn't do anything, so that was fine. But then I got with an actual prep coach for figure. And then for my first figure show, he had me run, and I'd never done anything before. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't have any friends. Like, my boyfriend at the time was competing. It was his first show too. So we both were just like, okay, you listen to your coach. So he had me doing Anavar, Novadex, Primobalin, human growth hormone, Clen, T3, and Winstrol. All at once for figure. First show ever.
Wow. So what were the results? Some people have tremendous response. What was your response like?
You know, I got lean, but I didn't have enough muscle tissue, first of all, and I shouldn't have been on stage for figure.
You didn't have enough muscle. You didn't have enough muscle for figure?
No, not at that. That was like 8 years ago. I was tiny. I used to weigh 130 pounds. So I was, yeah. So the growth I was on was probably fake. Everything else was real. The Winstrol was actually what changed my voice. I've had it change with 2 different protocols I've been on, but that was the first time, and the second time was with a female coach probably 2 years later. Okay. But that was from Winstrol, that first time I used it.
Did you used to have like a squeaky voice?
I had like a little high pitch, like one of those voices.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not anymore.
But you know what's all? It's the voice thing is so weird because there's a good example. Like Linda Murray still has. I'm not saying I'm not saying Linda ever used any steroids in her life, but she probably did. She still has that high voice. And, Kim Jaszewski, who won the Olympia, I think 3 or 4 times, she still has that squeaky high voice. So whatever Chad had her on didn't change her voice. And
well, and I've talked to a few women's bodybuilders who I won't mention their name, but they came to me and talked to me about it. And they said a lot of them will even like get into vocal training.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just to put it back. I mean, but too, I noticed that because that was from harsh cycles when my voice changed both times. I've noticed since I've been with my coach now for the past 2 years, it's actually gotten a little bit better than it was before. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that was possible. I always thought irreversible.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's never going to be what it was before I did anything, but it's not. It used to be like it sounded like I was smoking a pack a day, and I was like, so like, it's gotten better than that.
Yeah. It's unfortunately it is like a dead giveaway a lot of times. Like I was in Miami last month and training at that elevation gym, and my wife and I were next to two young. I don't know if they're Brazilian or wherever the hell they're from. Doesn't matter. They were, I guess, like a little bigger than bikini, not much. There wasn't a lot of muscle going on. Not that you would say, oh, they're definitely on stuff. No, you wouldn't have thought that. But then we heard they were recording each other and they started talking. And my wife and I just kind of looked at each other and like, yep, there you go.
Yep.
Boom, there it is. So, what are the side effects? What side effects have you experienced that, or women that you've known have experienced that are the most concerning? And is there any way to prevent them?
It's so complicated and everyone is so different. Like I know some women that have taken tren and tests and had almost no side effects whatsoever.
Wow.
But then I know girls that have gotten on Anavar and had like irreversible side effects.
Jeez.
Now, was it really Anavar?
Nah, probably not.
Yeah, but you never know. So you just have to say Anavar because most of the time people don't know what they're getting anyway. But for me, what I found, especially with clients, is like I try something very safe with them first, like a very small dose of something. And if it works, stick with that. Like I don't understand when I get clients from other people that have a laundry list of steroids for women. For men, it's a little different. But for women, when they're on like 3 injectables and 2 orals and like an estrogen blocker and a fat, and I'm like, bro, why do you have all of this? Like, and that's what's going to get you the side effects. Because when I've worked with my coach, Yas, and the only thing we used this last prep was growth and primo. That's it. And all the side effects I've had from past cycles are still there, but nothing new since doing stuff like that. But we know primo works for me. Like when I first talked to him, I said, I've used primo in the past. I've never really had a lot of issues with it. So I'd like to continue using that. And he's a good coach. So he said, okay, great. Simple as that.
You bring up a really good point. Like every time you said Anavar, you say, was it really Anavar? Because the steroids, there's only a couple steroids that people talk about as being relatively safe. Oh, there you go. Where'd you go? Yeah, and we're back. Yeah, there's only a couple people are calling you on your phone. That's what keeps happening. So, there's only a couple steroids that are considered relatively safe for women. One is Anavar, it's a pill, Primabol and the injectable, and they're the 2 most commonly faked because they're the most expensive, pretty much out of anything. It's hard to find any compared to something like D-ball. So a lot of unscrupulous dealers and manufacturers out there, and it's a completely underground, unregulated industry that makes these things. They will pass off D-ball, Anadrol as that. They'll pass off Test or Trend, something that's very cheap for Primabol because it's just more money in their pocket. And who suffers? The women who had no idea that they think they're doing 50 milligrams of Anavar a day and they're on an A-bomb or they're on 50 milligrams of D-ball. It's unfortunate, but I think women get the brunt of the counterfeit. I shouldn't say counterfeit, the underground unscrupulousness more so than men do.
No, I agree with you 100%. I knew a women's physique competitor that was taking what she thought was Primabol, and she kept getting like really nasty like sores from it, and she got it tested, and they just gave her rubbing alcohol.
Wow.
Just straight up rubbing alcohol. I was like, wow, you guys didn't even try. But, it's a girl, and she went and bought it by herself, and it was a guy at the gym, and what is she going to do, file a police report?
Yeah, and then another thing is a lot of women, they get introduced to gear by, it's a lot of times it's some guy they're dating, a bodybuilder guy. He either doesn't know or doesn't care that a woman shouldn't be using X, Y, or Z steroid, and this woman will be on like tren and this and that, and she has no idea it's bad until she starts getting hair loss and facial hair and her voice, and now she's like, oh my God. And then, she breaks up with the guy or whatever. It's too late. The damage is done.
Yeah. So. Well, and the newest thing I've noticed too, that coaches and doctors and even like you know, some of my older people I know that are kind of more involved in their own medical stuff. The moment a woman is low on tests now, people want to supplement with tests.
Low T, yeah.
They're like, oh, time to add tests. I'm like, bro, were you just waiting to add tests? Like, you were just waiting for your sign. And I don't understand that, because if you're adding tests, a woman's natural test level should not be that high anyway. So, like, if it's a little low, there's natural things you can do. You can see what's going on in their life to cause that. Like, maybe figure out what factors are in play to make them have low tests instead of just injecting them with a male hormone.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the low, TRT for men is it's $1 billion industry now.
Oh, yeah. And TRT for men is freaking great.
Yeah. And there's commercials on TV about it
Yeah.
and all this stuff. But I honestly, I haven't looked into it. How would a woman even know? I mean, like you said, it's probably a minuscule amount of tests that's considered normal range. How would a woman even know what effects would a woman have from low T? I doubt it would be anything like what a man would experience.
It's a lot of like low energy. It is similar. Very low energy, low mood, low strength. It's similar, but usually it just shows up in blood work, and they have a hard time losing body fat too. Anytime your hormones aren't regulated, you're gonna have a hard time losing fat.
Fair enough. I don't know where I was going to throw this question in, but I'll just throw it in now. And it's not really personal, but sex drive is something that I think men on steroids have this tremendous boost in sex drive.
Yeah.
A lot of guys complain that, women in general don't have a sex drive like they do. And it leads, especially once you're in a marriage, it can be it lead to a lot of problems when there's that imbalance. Then you get the guy on gear from his natural, and oh my God, it's like a recipe for disaster. And I can honestly say many of the problems in my marriage, which is 32 years long at this point, have been a result of that imbalance. I'm not proud to say that, but it's the truth. Did you notice when you started using gear that changed for you?
Yeah, especially with like the Primo. When I used Anavar or whatever it was and all the other stuff, not really. But with Primo, and then one time I did MPP very shortly, and I definitely noticed it with that.
Man, that's a form of DECA for you uneducated people out there.
Yes.
So are there any PEDs or any steroids? It doesn't have to be just steroids, but anything you would never consider using?
Testosterone. Those are two I flat out decided from the jump that I would never use either of those.
Yeah, I mean, when I hear women on tren, I'm like, why? Women are so sensitive to, we can get into like, we're not going to prescribe doses for anyone. We don't do that. That's a quick way to get canceled on YouTube. But tren is so powerful, and women respond so well to lower amounts of anabolics as opposed to men. My wife experimented with it in the past, and it used to get me so mad that it would take me at least 1.5 grams total gear to really look and feel the way I wanted. Could put her on 10 milligrams of Anavar a day. Within like a week, her shoulders started going boop. She had like no delts.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah, that's people keep texting you and stuff. She went from having the change was like immediate within a week. Oh, there we go. So come back, Anastasia. Come back. Come on back. Okay, guys, she didn't turn her you gotta put your phone on silent when you do these. So try to keep you entertained, guys, while she's waiting. Guys, again, please like, subscribe, share, and here's Anastasia back. Yeah. You back? Add to stage. Yeah, I should have told you to put your phone on silent.
It is now.
Yeah, so in terms of doses, this doesn't have to be just you, but in general, what's like a range of a dose where women see substantial differences? Like I said, for most male competitors, it's like an average of 1 gram. That's almost like a minimum total to see results. And obviously some bigger guys and pros go far, far beyond 1 gram into the 2, 3, 4, 5 grams. What's a moderate effective dosage that you've seen for women that gives them the results without really compromising their health as much?
I personally really like to just use growth with women, with myself, with anybody. And you can get it. I know it's not a real steroid, but if you get into like higher dosages, like 1 IU in the morning, 1 IU at night, or even 1.5 or 2 and 2, I've seen people get really great results from that. But the thing is, you have to be training and eating the right way. And I think a lot of people try and use steroids to fill in the gap for that, and you really don't have to. Like, I will say too, like this past year was the closest I followed my off season and like prep protocol, like to the T, like not even stupid little switches, just perfectly on point. And, you know, I will say this was the least amount of steroids we ever had to use. Like all we did was growth and primo. That's
Wow.
it. And not a lot of either too, like less than people think. It was less than I did when I competed figure. But my diet was on point. My training was on point. I was doing 7 meals a day. You know, I had all my lists like figured out. I was doing like fortitude style training. I was on my shit. And you don't need a lot of steroids if you're doing that. And the women I coach, I get them the same way. Like I get them eating a lot of food, training hard with intensity, but proper form. And most of them, I'll just put them on a little bit of growth, like the bigger girl classes, like women's physique. I'll do a little bit of primo with them. Figure if they need it, like 5 to 10 milligrams of Anavar, but that's really all anyone needs. Wellness is the same thing, kind of depends because wellness is getting big, so they're kind of more in the primo range.
For sure. Oh, there you go again.
If you can use less with people, that's always going to be better.
Yeah. So when you say you weren't using much primo, that's a relative thing. I'm guessing it was very low, but what was the dose that you were on, if you don't mind?
So I don't want to tell my exact dose because I don't want people to go ahead and do it. But I will say that when I did figure years and years ago, I was up to whatever it's called, 1 cc, not up to the 1 line.
Yeah.
Not
1 cc. Yeah.
Yeah. I was doing that every other day.
Okay.
And this is significantly less than that.
Yeah, typically it comes in a concentration like most of them are 200 milligrams per milliliter. So that sounds like it was about 600 milligrams a week.
Yeah.
Per figure. Okay, so less than that. Yeah, it's funny how you said a lot of growth, and you weren't even doing 4 IUs a day. It didn't sound like, which is
3.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, pro bodybuilders, it's like a minimum of 8 to 10, and if they have the money, if someone else is footing the bill, like maybe you're over in Dubai or Kuwait or something, you can double or triple that number for sure.
I mean, and I understand why, because it's the safest thing you can take. And there's not much risk unless you do stupid shit, but that's anything, you know?
Yeah. But like I said, it's not a steroid, guys, growth hormone. And you can get it legally prescribed to you at many, many life extension and hormone replacement clinics these days. Whereas you can't get trend prescribed anywhere. It's not going to happen unless you're a cow. Yeah, here's a good question. Why do you think we've seen most of the major health problems related to PEDs happening with men as opposed to women? Do you think men are just more careless and reckless? Is it the dose dependent thing? What's your theory?
I think men are more willing to take risks, especially as far as like playing around with like clen and higher doses of that. Like women, whenever clen starts to get high, I've noticed a lot of women will just taper it down on their own. Like without telling their coach. Like if they start to have their heart flutter, they're like, oh. But guys, they'll do anything. I mean, once you get down to that bottom point, you tell them stop drinking water for 3 days, keep taking clen, take all your salt out of your food. They're just going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen most of the serious health problems with women that have had tragic consequences have been related to diuretics, not steroids or clen or anything like that. Just a prescription drug to flush the water out of it.
Well, the diuretics are bad. We don't use those.
Bad news.
No, we don't use any diuretics.
Here's a good one. Why do you think we lost you again? You keep going in and out. That's okay. You come right back. Does it bother you that female bodybuilders, there's what, 6 divisions for women? Yours is the division that people will point the finger at and leave the rude comments under about steroids, when we both know, being around the sport, it's used in every women's division. It's just more obvious that, because you have the most muscle mass, they're gonna assume, well, they're on steroids. Not these bikini girls. They're all natural and this and that. And the figure girls, they're probably on just a little smidgen, a little smackerel of steroids. Does it bother you when people make that assumption that because you're so big, you must be the biggest abuser?
Not really, because a lot of women's bodybuilders really are the biggest users of steroids. Like, it is what it is. I've seen my friends' protocols that work with well-named coaches, and they're women's bodybuilders, and they're at the pro level, and they have just a pharmacy list of shit they take. I mean, all the other divisions are taking it too, but they're not taking, like, I've seen some women's bodybuilders that were taking Test, Tren, Masteron, Proviron, Arimidex, Anavar, Winstrol all at once. Like, if you think that's not going to do something noticeable to you, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I've often wondered, I've noticed over the years that women bodybuilders, I started out when all there was bodybuilding. We didn't have all these crazy divisions back then. But even back then, the women had much shorter careers. And it wasn't health. Nobody was you never heard about any health problems of anybody back then, really. So it wasn't that. I just think they either got disillusioned, they got tired of it, wasn't money in it, but they would back out of the sport much, much quicker than the men would. I've noticed that. I guess that's neither here nor there.
I think it's a lot harder on women to get conditioned and do women's bodybuilding. It's harder on our bodies. Like, we're not really made to do this. I mean, nobody's made to bodybuild, but men's bodies are more receptive to this protocol. I mean, for women, you're really putting your body through it every time you do something like this.
Yeah, and I'm not a doctor, not even remotely, but it's a male hormone. They're all every steroid is a derivative of testosterone. It's just variations on the testosterone molecule, and you could make the argument that, well, as a man, you're just putting in more of what your body made anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you did make a point that men and women both have testosterone and estrogen in our bodies. We both produce those hormones, but in a woman where testosterone is naturally at such a low level, when you crank up the level to this, I can't imagine that the women's bodies would respond favorably over time to doses and doses of that. So I guess that makes sense. This is bodybuilding and gear in general, not just particular women, but I've experienced this. Any bodybuilder who's enhanced has had to deal with people attributing everything they see in your physique to steroids. I could say I've been training. I haven't missed a workout in 40 years. I haven't missed a meal. I haven't missed a good night's sleep. I didn't go out and park. You could say all that. And like, they don't want to hear any of that. Steroids. And if I took steroids, I'd look just like you. Yeah. Is that annoying?
I mean, you already said it. They don't want to hear any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, people like that have in their mind the way things are, and it makes them feel good about themselves for not doing that. They're like, well, I wouldn't want to do that anyway, because all they do is, I could do that too if I took steroids. So that's them excusing their own, because I don't know why, but people, when they see a fit person, a lot of times if they're insecure, they think they have to explain why they're not fit. Oh, like, I used to do that in high school, but then I injured my back. Or, oh, when I was like, it's not a competition unless you're literally on stage. Like, if I'm at the gas station, you don't need to tell me why you don't work out. Like, that's you, this is me. Like, that's totally fine. But I think it's the same thing with steroids. Like, people will say like, oh, well, if I just did steroids, I could do that too. It's not that big of an accomplishment. And that's why it doesn't annoy me, because I see where these people are coming from, and they're coming from a place where they're comparing themselves to me, and that's not my problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see it online, the hate, everyone's these keyboard warrior. Everyone's got, big balls behind a keyboard.
I mean, but what do they look like? What are they doing? Would you want to trade places with them? Would I want to be them? Absolutely not. So have your own opinion. That's fine. You're wrong, but that's on you. It doesn't bother me.
So true. Yeah. It's people love to point out, this guy's on, no matter who it's usually people with no profile picture, no post. They're just these troll accounts. But most pros don't have the time or the inclination to delete all their comments. So you can go to any pro's posts, just anything that shows their physique, and someone will say juice head, all steroids.
Well, I leave them all up. I leave all the comments up just in case, like, their mom checks it one day, or like a employer or something. You can see how mean and nasty or whoever is.
All right. Switching gears, fake natties. We've always had fake natties. That's nothing new, but I think social media has really given rise to people on gear who want to they have a multitude of reasons. Lately, I think it's just as a way to pimp out their coaching or some product they're trying to sell or something, trying to make you believe that they achieved everything that they had naturally. And you and I both have that eye. We've been around the sport long enough and around the scene long enough to go, this person's lying through their teeth. They're so full of shit. There's no way. There's a look that the body gets on PEDs that it just doesn't get. Does it bother you? I try not to let these things bother me, but does it bother you that there's so many liars out there?
I mean, it bothers me in the fact that they're putting out information that's going to probably harm somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, anytime you're lying to people and you're giving them information. Sorry.
Okay.
That had to be you. But anytime you're giving people information that's going to impact their health and you're lying about it, like, I just lose all respect for you as a person. Like, if you want to claim that you didn't do steroids, like, to your friends and family, whatever, but don't put that information out on the internet where you have an audience of people that are like, oh, I can do that too. Let me sign up with you because you know how to do that naturally, as if that's the end of the world to do shit naturally anyway.
Yeah, and it's also the one reason it angers me is that it sets up unrealistic expectations where I'm going to keep talking. Yeah. Unrealistic expectations where they see this and they think, okay, that's hard work and that's this and that and that's no drugs. And if they fail to get anywhere near to those results, they're going to feel like a failure. Like, oh, I didn't work hard enough. It's, I suck. Nobody should feel that way, especially if they've really been putting in the work. So
yeah,
shame on you fake natties out there. Yeah, I think we covered this. Why is there such a stronger negative reaction to women using steroids than men? Yeah, I mean, I don't, I see men get plenty of hate, but I see the women get 2-3 times the amount of hate online. Again, there's so much negativity on social media. Social media has done so many good things for us, but boy, it's brought out the inner asshole in so many people out there. Let me tell you.
I think it's actually gotten a little better though over the years. I really, really do. Like when I first got into bodybuilding, like especially women's physique around that time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I remember like anytime I posted anything online, I would get like a litany of just negative comments and people like reposting it and making fun of me and like stuff like that. And now I think I might get a comment like every couple of days. I know when I won my pro card and there was a bunch of pictures of me like shredded, there was a couple comments from like random people, but I really think it's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah. And, it's I think, we're perceived as having a much more tolerant society now than we used to in all aspects, where, like the trans movement and stuff like that. But it's crazy how some people still seem like it's okay. They think it's okay to leave these horrible insults and comments on bodybuilders, male and female. Like we don't, it's still open season on bodybuilders for whatever
But again,
reason.
like you have to think of it this way, like, okay, do you, Ron, ever sit on your phone and go through random people's Instagram and think like, what kind of shit can I talk to this person? Like, how can I insult? Like, do you do that?
I don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that either. So like, if you got time for all that, like, your opinion to me is not.
Yeah. Okay. Dating questions. So, I'm sure you've never had a problem with male companionship in your life. You're an attractive woman. And I don't think women in general have that problem the way men do. But do you find that there's only a certain type of man that's not intimidated by your appearance, by your physicality? Does it have to be a big muscular guy, or are other men just like scared?
Honestly, no. I not really. I I have a lot of normal men that approach me. I mean, really, I don't. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it's about how you carry yourself, though, too, because this past year I gained a lot of self-confidence that I hadn't had over the last couple of years, and I think as a woman, especially in the sport, it's all about how you carry yourself. Like if you feel confident and you feel like you look good, men are gonna approach you. But then if you're like shy and walking into rooms and you're afraid to take up space and you're afraid to be yourself, the wrong type of guy is gonna approach you. But it's all. I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't really have that.
Okay, fair enough. Final question. This is to help out the women out there who either are using or considering using PEDs at some point. What are the things that you would have done differently if you could go back and start all over again?
I would have.
How long do you have?
Yeah, really. I would have tested every single thing I put in my body from the start with a kit that you can buy online. You can go on Amazon. You can order steroid kits. Yep, there's all kinds of stuff. You can test all of your stuff. Start with one thing at a time. You don't need to be doing 3 different drugs when you've never done anything before. Find one thing, see what it does to you. Take a small dose. If you like it and it's working well, use a little bit more, increase the dosage, and keep it at that for a while. You don't need to pile on a bunch of stuff. And really just reach out to other women in the sport. Like if a coach sends you something, even if they're a great coach and you read it and you're like, that seems a little off, just reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid. I think most women, I mean, I know I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I think most women I know in this industry wouldn't have a problem either telling somebody like, hey, that's kind of a fucked up cycle. Like that's way too much. So like, I mean, all the women I met in this sport have been so friendly. So I would definitely recommend that to new people. Like one, test everything, one thing at a time, and reach out to people.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I see so much more camaraderie and just good spirit among the women competitors than I do among the men. The men are all like, they're off in a corner with their hoodie down and their earbuds in, like, arr. But the women like backstage, you see them like laughing, joking, having a good time. It's like a party.
It's so much fun.
The guys look like miserable back there. Man. All right, let's talk a little bit. You've been very, very, I appreciate you answering all those questions. Thank you so much. So let's talk about, since your nationals win, congratulations, but much belated. Was that 4 months ago at this point? Yeah.
Two. It was
Was it? Oh, it
December.
was in December. Yeah, they hold it later and
December
later.
8th, 2023.
So, what was it like? Because you've been trying for that pro card for a couple of years. Was it a relief? Was it, oh my God, finally? What was that first thing that went through your mind?
I knew I was going to get it this time because I decided I was going to.
Hmm.
After I got off stage last year and I hated how I looked and I had a great coach and I had everything going for me and I still fucked it up, I was like, you know what? Never again. So by the time I got there, it almost felt inevitable at that point because I had done everything. I didn't half-ass a single thing from December of 2022 till December of 2023. I was on it. I was doing everything I absolutely could. So when the time came, I was just so calm. I remember being backstage and them having to call my name. They're like, "Hey, are you coming?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry," because I was talking to the I was wearing. I was just sorry. I was just so calm. And then when I went up there and I saw the judges looking at me, and I looked back at them, and they looked at me, and I looked at them, and I was like, "All right, we're good here." And after that, it just felt like I was just going through the day. It was already. I think I only kind of had a moment after prejudging, when they left me in the center the entire time I got off stage, and I was like, holy shit. That really just happened.
Wow. So, I think you came into women's bodybuilding at a much better time than there was a good chunk of time there where, man, it looked like they were just going to get rid of the division, to be honest with you. There was a year where the Ms. Olympia was canceled, and at the very last minute, somebody brought it back and put it on at a high school auditorium. This actually happened in the 90s. They were just going to ditch the division, and they brought in women's physique, and that's what people said. Okay, that's it. This is what they want now. They're going to get rid of the women. But Jake Wood comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Wood really changed the game and brought women's bodybuilding back to the forefront.
He's great. He's really great.
He started up the Wings of Strength contest out in Phoenix. The Rising Phoenix.
Yep.
His Wings of Strength company sponsors all the female bodybuilding shows. Mm-hmm. The prize money's gone up. The prestige has gone up. If you do that Rising Phoenix, you win not only the money, you get this awesome tricked out. It's a different vehicle every year, but like Andrea Shaw, she's won three or four crazy cars and trucks already. Do you feel fortunate that you came along at a time when Jake Wood had revived women's bodybuilding rather than that there was a dark period there where if you had turned pro, that might have been pretty much the end of the road for you?
No, I am really thankful for him. And I had the Wings of Strength sponsorship the last year he had it. So I got to actually meet him and talk to him. And he's really he just loves the sport. He's really great. I can't say anything bad about him, really. And it's funny you bring that up because I had never wanted to compete in women's bodybuilding, and it was for the same reason that it got taken out of the Olympia. I thought, well, I could never attain that, without using harmful drugs to get there. I could never do that without taking drugs that would masculinize me and cause realization. So I just didn't want to do it. I thought it was super cool, and I was like, man, I'd love to have that much muscle and look like that, but I didn't want to have the side effects that I saw a lot of women at that time getting. But now, there's so many women bodybuilders that are pros that are freaking gorgeous and feminine and just beautiful. So it's I feel really lucky to be involved in sport right now.
Yeah. It's funny you say, I'd always assumed you were naturally muscular, that you were somebody that put on size easily, because looking at the mass that you've been able to put on, I didn't know what you looked like before. And, we always assume when we see some huge guy or girl, they're just a genetic freak. They probably trained for a month or two and they blew up and looked like that. But, I think it's encouraging for others because you are the hardest division because of that. It takes time. It takes so much effort to put on that amount of muscle. I'm not saying any division is easy. I don't want to put it that way because I respect every division, but bikini body, I could take a lot of girls at my gym and get them in a bikini stage in a couple months.
Yeah.
And they'd fit right in. Whereas there's really, to take a regular woman that's just trains for fun and get her onto a pro female bodybuilding stage, it's not going to happen in a month or two. It's not going to happen in a year or two. It's going to take time. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that, especially thanks in large part to the efforts of Jake Wood and the money that he's put into this female side of the sport, that women are getting the recognition, the women bodybuilders recognition they deserve. And it's a long time coming. And I'm glad. I was concerned for a while.
Well, and he's made it cool to be a woman's bodybuilder again. He's made it pretty, and he's made it sexy, and he's made it fun. He gives all of these things, these women bodybuilders, and these opportunities. And you see them in Vegas after the Olympia when it's there, like partying together and having fun. And it's like, it's making it the cool kids again. Like people want to do it again. Like it's fun now.
Yeah. Yeah. Props to you, Jake Wood. So, Anastasia, you are going to be competing in Tampa. So
Yes.
guys, everybody get your tickets for that. I'm hoping to make it. I missed it last year. I hate missing it. It was a great show. Tim Gardner
It's a
and
great
his team,
show.
man, the trophies they give out, everything is just top notch at that show.
That was the first show I ever went to, actually.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep, ever in my life. So I'm pretty excited to compete in it now.
Yeah, and it's a big show. One year they broke the record for over 300 competitors total.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and man, so you're also available for coaching. Check out. I guess I can get you through your Instagram, which is
I have a little form on that. It's Anastasia Rider _ IFBB Pro.
Yeah, I got that in there. So I'll put that in the description too, so people make sure and check that out. Support her, give her a follow. Anything else that you want to promote while we're here before you go?
No, I just want to thank you for your time today, and I really hope
you.
that a lot. I mean, it's cool if men watch this. That's great, but I really hope a lot of women watch this and will like get something out of it that keeps them healthy and keeps them enjoying the sport, so we can all keep competing and keep being backstage having fun together. Like you said, like I want more women to do this year. There was 16 girls in my class, and that was the coolest thing ever. Like it was so cool, and we all got to hang out backstage together, a bunch of women bodybuilders. Like I want to keep that going. And the best way to do that is to get people safely using gear, because they're going to use it, but let's get them doing it in a safe way where they can get results and still be healthy and continue to compete.
Yeah, and that's why I'm making this a clickbaity title: Steroids and Women, the Truth. Because if I had put Anastasia Rider interview or whatever, I get some views, but
a couple.
So it's using a sneaky tactic for a good reason, because I do want people to hear the true side of it. And people make all kinds of assumptions, and women, like I said, they're easily swayed. A lot of times, either someone gets them onto cycles that they don't know what they're getting into, or they don't do their research, which happens to men too. They just need to be aware of the safer way to do it, because I want us all to be healthy. I want us all to live to be 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Why not do this the safest way possible? Because I love the sport. I've been part of it for so damn long. Almost longer than you've been alive, girl. So, so I appreciate you taking the time, Anastasia, and being so honest today. And wish you the very best of luck as you start prepping in a couple months for your pro debut.
Yeah.
Wow. It's about time.
I'm excited.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. What am I calling this? Real Muscle with Ron, with special guest Anastasia Rider. See you right here next time. Thanks for watching.